Hey everyone, this is Mike. I got Middara recently and I'm really excited to give it a try. The game has two ways to be played. You can play in a crawl mode where basically you play a one-off either one mission or series of missions, or you can play adventure mode where you go through a sprawling campaign with a continuing story and changing characters. But today we're going to show you the crawl mode. I am definitely going to do some playthroughs of the adventure mode down the line, and I'll probably also do a review of this. But just for now, let's start with kind of the simplest, most straightforward. So we're going to be doing the rank 1 crawl. There are 5 included in the base game, and this is the easiest. It's called Cavern Fumigation. Cave sickles have infested a nearby cave just outside of town. The townspeople have filed multiple complaints against the city, claiming that nothing is being done. Unsure how deep the cave goes, the city hasn't spent the resources to reach the hive and cull the colony's members. The Crimson Vanguard has just the thing, though, a bug bomb. Reach the sickle's lair and bomb the pests out of existence. So in these crawls, you get a specific adventurer setup. In this case, I had 300 gold to spend on everybody, and each had 7 experience to spend on disciplines. And I had only mundane items available to me, and we'll show you what all that looks like when I show you the characters in a moment. So the scenario has a series of encounters. In this case, we're starting with Sickle Bombing Expedition. The directions from the Crimson Vanguard officer lead you to a small cave just outside of the town. Inside, you hear skittering in the dark. It sounds like there are a lot of them. It would be best to be on guard at all times. Who knows where those sneaky bugs could spring from once you're inside. So you get which tiles you're using, where the enemies start, and you get these things called totems that are basically going to determine when I reveal more things, either more map or more enemies or all that kind of stuff. We also have ending conditions and special rules. I don't show you all of those, though. But to show you the basic setup of the map, I've got 6 of these cave sickles arrayed against me, each identified by a different color on their base. And I've got my 4 heroes. Let's meet each of them. So first we've got Rook Lars, who I've sort of made a two-handed fighter, along with a support guy with healing items. He's got Cuirass armor that's going to prevent physical damage. Too many belts will also prevent physical damage. War Axe, this one can exhaust to give me even more damage than normal. And for his disciplines, his sort of skills, he's got Hammer Helm that makes him do more damage with two-handed weapons, and he can exhaust to reroll his dice. And Magic Armor, which is going to let him give a barrier to one character per turn, making them a little bit harder to hurt. Next we've got Remy Moretti, my little flying character. Giving her an axe and shield combo, which means she's going to have a little more defense and be able to attack back on people. She has a bad A leather jacket that lets her reroll her dodge rolls and can also reduce some damage. She's got some throwing knives to try to defeat guys, a healing item for herself, and a deflection core that makes her even harder to hit. For her disciplines, I made her all about speed. She can use this to move 2 spaces and without having to break away, so she can go all over the place around the enemies. And also she has a bonus to dodge. She can dodge an extra time, and she has a better chance of succeeding. Next we have Nightingale Arson. She's my support character in this case. I've given her a crossbow so she can stay behind enemy lines, and a belt to be defensive but no armor. Hopefully she won't get hit at all. She has an ability to give people extra stamina points. We'll find out what that is later. She's also the one holding the bug bomb, because hopefully again she won't be getting hurt by too many people. And for her extra item, she just has a bunch of arrows which can let her do extra damage with her crossbow. For her skill, she's got a quick blow, which basically lets her attack a second time on her turn for less stamina. And she's also got the ability to give the other characters haste, which means they're going to get more stamina every turn, so they'll be able to do more stuff. And lastly, rounding out our party of 4, we've got Zeke Jong, who's my 2-sword fighter here. He's got 2 short swords, which let him move diagonally, so he's more mobile than he might seem. He's got a shirt that also gives him +1 movement and lets him dodge and then counterattack, and he gets to re-roll his dodges, so I've got kind of a mobility combo going here. To add on to that, I gave him a deflection core to make him even harder to hit, and he's also got some throwing knives and a healing item. His disciplines are all focused around melee combat. He can do a free attack once per turn because he has 2 one-handed weapons. And he's also got a special chain of command attack that can attack at range 2 and can move an enemy potentially into a pit, killing them instantly. We'll end by looking at our dastardly foes, the cave sickles. So they're immune to poison, and also they can move across terrain and allies without any point penalty. Now, Hive Mind has been changed. It was that they would get stronger and stronger as there were more guys next to them. But now it's that when they roll their 2 dice, if there's another Cave Sickle within basically 4 spaces, they get to roll a black die as well and potentially do more damage. For people who have not seen the game yet, this is their kind of AI-like track, sort of similar to Sword and Sorcery. So if an enemy's adjacent, these guys are going to try to attack me again and again. They can get up to 3 attacks off. If we're not adjacent, they'll make a range 4 attack and then run up and try to poison us, which is devastating. And then otherwise, they'll just try to move within range 4 and attack for 4 attack. And by the way, basically everyone in the game right now has 6 movement, my characters and these guys included. Middara uses an initiative track, very similar to what we saw in Deep Madness, if you watch that game playthrough. Except this one is not going to change. This will be the initiative for every round until other monster types show up. So we're going to start with Rook. Then do Cave Sickles 1 through 3, which are the ones that are further away from me, so in a way that's kind of good. Then all of my heroes and end with the other half of the Cave Sickles, the ones closer to us if they're alive. And Rook is first, but let's take a moment to look at what happens on an adventurer's turn. So first we have a start of turn phase, where nothing's going to happen right now. The status phase, if there's any status effects like poison or haste. The refresh phase, where we get stamina points back, we're going to skip that for the first turn. The meat of the game, the action phase, where I'll spend my stamina points to actually complete actions. And finally, the end of turn phase. And enemies don't go through all these steps, they just resolve their AI track. Okay, Rook, my first character, starts with 3 stamina, and all the characters start with 3 stamina. And know that they all have a stamina max of 5. So they get 3 stamina back every turn, hence the 3 red dots, but they can't go get above 5 no matter what. Actions are pretty straightforward. You can use 1 stamina to move, and that'll give you your full movement trait, which is, like I said, 6 for all my characters. You can add 2 more movement points for each extra stamina you spend, but just to note that the second you stop moving to do any other action, you cannot move anymore for the entire turn, so you only get 1 move per turn. Attacking costs 2 stamina. Doing any counter action like picking up treasure or something costs 1. Changing your equipment costs 1. Dodging costs 1. Making your attack stronger costs 1. And then finally, countering's been changed to 1, not the 2 as written here. But basically, if an enemy attacks me and doesn't hit me, I get to hit him back if I spend 1 stamina. So Rook is fairly far away from the enemies. And just to remind you, the red, purple, and orange sickles are going to activate right after Rook. And these guys won't activate until the end of the turn. So we can spend 1 stamina to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And do note that diagonal movement is not allowed unless specified by an item. So to get to this guy to attack him, he'd have to go 3 more spaces. That would use up all of his stamina, and he'd be left with none at all. So instead, he's going to use a 2nd stamina to activate his magic armor. It says, an ally within SOI gains barrier. SOI is basically a 4 range that doesn't need a perfect line of sight, but can't go through blocking terrain. And this costs 1 less if he uses it on an ally instead of himself. So if he'd use it on one of the 3 friends, then it would have been free. But he's going to use it on himself this time, so that'll be 2 of his stamina used, 1 to move, 1 to cast the barrier. And status effects like this persist until something makes them go away. In this case, the barrier will give him +1 armor, so he'll take 1 less damage from all physical attacks he suffers. And that leaves Rook with just 1 stamina left. He's going to stop there and save it, since at the end of the turn he'll get, the beginning of next turn he'll get 3 more and go up to 4, not quite to his max of 5. So now we're going to activate our number 1, 2, 3 Cave Sickles, but due to the next initiative card. And note that's red, purple, and then orange. They'll activate in that order. And there's no opponent adjacent, and even Rook is not within range 4, so they're going to try to move up to 6 spaces to get within 4 range of him, and then just make a basic attack with 2 combat dice within range 4. So we'll see for red, he can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then range does go diagonally, even though movement does not, but we'll see that Rook is within 5 range, so red does nothing. If they can't do any of their AI line, if nothing is true, as they say, then red does nothing. Purple, though, should definitely be able to get there, and he'll stop with it once he's within range 4. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 movement, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's going to attack Rook with his 2 white basic ranged attack. So to give you a quick synopsis of combat, I'm going to roll 2 white dice because that's the Cave Sickles attack. He's trying to equal or exceed Rook's defense of 9. So that's with the actual numbers, ignoring the symbols. He's trying to get at least 9. Now, Rook has a barrier and a cuirass. Those both give him +1 armor, but the armor will prevent damage after he gets hit, not prevent the hit itself. So I'll roll for the Cave Sickle. Lovely. So he does not hit at all, which means his entire activation is done. That leaves just the orange Cave Sickle. Now, with the current rules, which have been changed slightly, enemies and allies can move through their people on their own team, so the Cave Sickles can move through each other. They just can't end on the same space. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So he'll stop right there. We've got a little clump of them, and he'll also try to attack with 2 white dice. Rolling for the orange Cave Sickle. It's a 2 and a 4, 6. They're not rolling well at all, so Rook is safe from both their attacks. We're now going to resolve Remy, Zeke, and with Nightingale, and then the other 3 Cave Sickles, although some of them will hopefully be defeated before they get a chance to act. So Remy also has 6 movement and 3 stamina, but she also has Like the Shadows, which she can exhaust to move 2 diagonal without worrying about breaking attacks, which is basically enemies getting free attacks when you try to move when you're next to them. So she's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and she'll add 2 more, she'll spend 1 more stamina point to add 2 more movement. So 7, 8, or no, Oh, if she does that, she won't actually be able to attack. So you know what, she will hang back here and only spend the 1 stamina to move, but then she will use her Like the Shadows ability to move diagonally. And I guess we'll move there. I mean, she's going to be in range of these guys anyway, so yeah, she'll just go ahead and move up. Yeah, looking back, I kind of wish that I had just hung back and let these guys come to me a little bit, because I'm definitely just running right in there without being able to attack yet, and they're going to get a lot of shots on me. So she'll stop with 2 stamina, because she just moved once and then moved diagonally with her power, which costs no stamina. Okay, Zeke is next, and he's got +1 movement because of his occult shirt, so he'll move 7. So for 1 stamina, he'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He could again also move up more, but it wouldn't leave enough stamina to attack, so he'll stop there with 2 stamina, ready to gain up to max next turn. Then finally, Nightingale will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now she has a ranged weapon, so she could attack up to range 4. As you can see, the crossbow has a range of 4. But in this case, she is going to use her Banish Knowledge ability, leaving her with 0 stamina points because it costs 2. She's going to give herself haste, but that means she's going to get 4 stamina points back every turn instead of 3. So she should have a bunch back pretty quickly, and then she can start giving the same power to all the rest of her allies in the following turns. And just to show that in action, she has no stamina left, the ability is exhausted, but she's getting a haste token, which during the status phase is going to give her +1 stamina point every turn. By the way, I did just remember that the updated Hive Mind would have given a black die to both of the range attacks against Rook earlier, but note that the black die only gives icons, which can add damage. It doesn't actually give a better chance to hit, so it wouldn't have made a difference in what happened earlier in the turn. The 4, 5, 6 Cave Sickles are going to activate blue, then green, then pink. And they're all going to be doing this one. If there's an opponent within range 4, make a range 4 attack. Then move to be adjacent to the opponent with the most damage. And make a melee attack. And if they hit, FU is follow-up. They have a chance to inflict poison, force 9. We'll show you what all that means if it happens. Okay, so blue is first. He's within 4 range of Remy. But do know that he has an obstructed line of sight from his own figures. Now, that's just going to be -1 to his to hit roll. You cannot even shoot through enemy figures, but allied figures will just give a -1 penalty. Note, though, that it is a flat -1 penalty. It doesn't stack for each individual unit in the way, so Blue's is going to have a straight-up -1 to hit Remy. So it's 2 white dice again, but this time I'm also adding a black die, since there's at least one other Cave Sickle within POI. Now, he did roll a 9, which normally would have equaled or exceeded Remy's defense, and she would be hit, and then he'd get to spend all these icons to do a ton of damage. But luckily for me, I gave Remy a Deflection Core, which you'll see adds +1 to her defense, and that means that she has 10 defense and was not hit at all. But sadly, this blue Cave Sickle is not done. He's going to try to move up to his 6 movement to get within melee range of one of these guys close to him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And note that he can get melee range is also measured in diagonals. The only thing you can't do with diagonals is movement. So he could get to either be able to attack Remy or Rook. Now, the AI line said he would attack the person who is most damaged. Neither of them have damage. So you might think he would go for the closest, but actually the tiebreaker is who is closer to the front of the initiative track. So he's going to actually move to be... But this is something I'm not quite sure about, which takes priority. If he moved here, he would have to give Remy a chance for a break attack because he'd be moving while adjacent to her. So I'm going to make the call that he would actually stop short and just try to attack her there because I don't think he would want to give himself a break attack. Okay, he gets another attack, this time melee, and note that if he hits here, he has the chance to also poison her, which is not good. Okay, so we only got a 7, definitely a miss, and also the skull is the negative rolling the black die. That means an automatic miss, so even if this had been a 10 or more to beat her defense, then she would not have been hit. Green is next, and both Rook and Remy are in range, but he can't even see Rook because, remember, not allied figures do block line of sight, so he's going to have an unobstructed view to attack her before he tries to move closer and poison her. Okay, only 7. They are having great luck not getting hit by these guys. These dice do go up to 6 and 7 for each of them, so it's definitely possible to hit us. And that, again, would have been pretty bad because the sickles, their basic icon use is just +1 for each shield. But she's doing great. Now he can move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to be within range of either of them. Now here, I will say that he'll take the break attack because the rules do specify that they'll let themselves get hurt. They just won't automatically kill themselves. So he's going to move to 5, and Remy will get to do a break attack before he does his own attack. So here, Remy gets to make a free attack using her hand axe and her medium shield. And unlike enemies who just have 2 dice automatically, adventurers get to add up the dice of the weapons they have, and shields do count as weapons for this. So it's 1 white die from the hand axe. And note the medium shield says a purple die, but it says if it's equipped with a melee, that's what combo melee means, its die changes to a white. So she's rolling 2 white, but not with the Empower effect, unless she wanted to spend 1 stamina to do that. Now just to look closer at her abilities, oh, she could have actually countered the last guy that attacked her, which means she could have exhausted this to get a free attack against him. But maybe she can do that in a second, since I missed that opportunity. And note that with the hand axe, after resolving an attack, if I missed, I can exhaust this to make an immediate attack. So I assume this would work with a break attack as well. I can just immediately try to hit again if I miss. And whereas the Cave Sickles have the basic just 1 shield equals +1 damage, she has 2 shields, gives her +2 physical damage, and that's each pair of shields. And then the little burst symbol, which is the best usually, gives us +1 damage all by itself. And she gets... oh my gosh, there we go. Much better than the Cave Sickles. Take that, guys. Alright, so we finally have a successful hit, so I can show you how that works exactly. So, their defense is 8, and I have rolled 7 + 6, 13. So the base damage is actually how much I beat their defense by. So 13 minus 8 is 5, and they only have 6 life. Yep, 6 life. But then I get to add to that 5 any of the icons I rolled. So I've got 4 shields. Each pair is +2, so that goes from 5 to 7 to 9. Plus a burst, that's +1. So I do 10 damage, and he only has 6. So for that guy's impudence and trying to run by me, I completely wipe him out. Now for most monsters, when you defeat them, you immediately get a combatant loot card, which could be money or even something cooler. But note that the Cave Sickles have the Swarm stat, which means only when I defeat all 3 of them do I get the item. There's just too many of them to get items from every time. But the Cave Sickles aren't done. Our friend Pink over here is going to also try to shoot Remy. And... trying to think, line of sight wise, I think that it would probably miss that guy. I guess I can draw it. It's supposed to be from center to center. Yeah, I'm going to say that I missed the blue guy, so there's no penalty on his 2 hits. Uh-oh. So 5 + 5 is enough to hit Remy, and oh man, he's got +4 damage coming from his black empowered die. But Remy still has the chance to dodge if she has an ability or wants to spend 1 stamina to do so. Let's see how dodging works. So lots of abilities can give you free dodges. In this case, Remy's going to use her Speed Injustice ability. She's exhausting it to dodge it, and if she doesn't get the skull, which is an automatic failure to dodge, then she gets +1 shield, which basically makes her defense 1 higher. And remember, this guy exactly equaled her defense with her bonus from the deflection core. So any result on here except a skull is going to make her okay. And there we go. So she gets +1, 2, 3, 4 defense, so we would have needed a 14 to hit her instead of a 10, so he misses. But he's also going to run by and try to get by her, and we'll give her another free break attack. So, same as before. Not so good this time. She got a 7, and his defense is 8, so she did miss. But remember, our hand axe says combo if you're using a shield, axe, or sword in the other hand, and she's using a shield. Exhaust it to make an attack when you miss an attack. Second try. Ooh! Oh, crushing it. So 12, 6 plus 6 is 12, minus 8 defense, that's 4 base damage. And then each pair of shields is giving her +2, so that's 6, 8 base damage. Takes out another one. And that does leave only the blue Cave Sickle left in the 4 through 6 group, which means when that guy's defeated, we will get a loot card. Okay, and there's no end of turn effects to resolve, but just to note, I haven't talked about the totems yet. The second any of our adventurers is within line of sight of these totems, we'll refer to the crawl book to find out what the effect of them is and maybe spawn some new guys or get some more tiles to explore. So once we can see them, which this red terrain is all blocking, so we basically have to get around the corner here to maybe see the blue one, and the red one we have to get all the way around here to see that one. But once we get further along, we'll be able to see what those are all about. Okay, so we get back around to Rook. He's going to unexhaust his magic armor, make it available to use again, and he's going to gain 3 stamina, giving him 4, not quite up to his max of 5. And for his first action, he's going to use his magic armor to give a barrier to one of the other heroes. And don't forget, if he does that for somebody else, not for himself, it costs 0 stamina, so he'll still have all 4 for other actions. And he'll give the barrier to Remy, since she might take some more attacking this turn, so there she goes. Now, sadly, the blue Cave Sickle is right in the way, so he can't get in to fight the other Cave Sickles that are just about to activate. He could try to jump over this pit, but whenever you do that, you have to do a skill roll, and you have a chance of falling in and dying immediately. That doesn't sound fun to me, so he's just going to spend 1 stamina to move. It's up to 6 movement, but clearly he can only go 2 spaces. And then he's going to spend 2 more stamina to attack. That'll use up all 3 of the stamina he got this turn, leaving with just 1 stamina left. So Rook's got a War Axe, that's all he refers to. It's got 2 dice all by itself, 2 white dice. And I can exhaust it when determining damage to make every book worth +1 damage. So if I haven't quite defeated an enemy, I can get a little bit more attack. Every shield is +1 damage, every star is +1 damage. So a little bit more consistency in the icon use here. And note that he, with his Hammer Helm ability, always has +1 physical damage for free if he hits. And then when he makes an attack, he can exhaust this. If he has a 2-handed weapon, he does, to re-roll any of the dice in the combat pool. So if I don't quite miss, if I don't quite hit, I can re-roll my worst dice. So here we go. Let's see if Rook has as much luck as Remy. Ooh, and he does! 6 and a 5 is 11, so I could re-roll the 5, but that's the 3rd highest result, so I don't think I want to. Cave Sickles again have 8 defense and no armor, 6 life. So his 11 beats the Cave Sickle by 3, that's 3 damage, plus 1, 2, 3 shields, each worth 1 damage with his War Axe, so he defeats that Cave Sickle without even needing to use any of his other abilities. Because that Cave Sickle was the last in the 4, 5, 6 group, I'm going to get to draw a competent loot for Rook, and most of these are just money, in this case 5 gold, so he's going to keep this card with him to show that he gained the 5 gold, although it's going to be shared among the entire party to buy whatever they want. Now, something I'm not 100% sure of is whether I keep the competent card for these guys when they're defeated, because I know more are going to spawn later, and I'm also not sure if their initiative card stays in the same place. So for now, I'm just going to leave both where they are and spawn from there as needed, but it is a question I'm not 100% sure of from the rules. So Lars is going to stop there with 1 stamina, and that means our alive Cave Sickle group, 1, 2, 3, are going to attack, unfortunately. Now remember, red will only act if he can move up to 6 spaces to get within range 4. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3. Oh, actually, so he will move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he's in range of both Rook and Remy, and he'll have -1 to his attack either way from purple blocking him. But Rook is further up on the initiative, so Rook's going to take the attack. 2 white dice, their basic pool, plus the black die from Empowerment. Uh-oh. So that's a pretty good hit, although that's good. That's not actually any extra damage. So Rook has a one-use dodge item, too many belts, that will exhaust to let him dodge. But in this case, well, let's see. The guy's hitting him by +1. 10 is 1 more than 9, and then 3 shields, so that's 4 damage. Whereas if Rook can just get a dodge of at least 2, he'll take no damage. But I do worry that a worse attack might come later this turn, so I think Rook's going to save his dodge. But note that the too many belts does say the first time each turn you're dealt physical damage by a melee attack. Never mind, so this will not apply. If he gets hit by a melee attack, he'll get 2 less damage. But he does have both armor and a barrier that give him 2 armor, so he's only going to take 2 damage from this. And then he can exhaust his armor to reduce physical damage by 2, so he's going to take no damage from this attack. He just has to exhaust his armor. And actually, I did just remember that it should have been a 9 hit, not a 10, because of the -1 from purple being in the way. I'm still going to use the armor to block the 1 damage, just because I'd rather take 0 damage. Okay, now purple's going to do the range attack and then melee attack. This is also against Rook, since he's higher up on the initiative track. Oh, Lord above. Well, this is the worst result possible, pretty much. Okay, so Rook will certainly use his dodge now. So don't forget this guy has 3 shields, so that's +3 damage after the potential dodge. Okay, so that adds 2 to Rook's defense, so he goes to 11. So 14 minus 11, that's 3 damage. Plus 3 shields is 6 damage. Plus 4 more shields is 10 damage. Good lord. His 2 armor lessens the blow a bit, but he did just take 8 damage out of his 14 life. And if he takes 14 damage, he's out. There's no, bringing people back once they're hurt. At least within this encounter of the scenario. And purple's not done. He's going to move next to the most injured adventurer, which is unfortunately Rook, and try to attack him again. Let's hope for not a repeat of that. Okay, so that is a 6. So great. Rook does survive that attack. Okay, and finally orange is going to attack Rook, and yeah, I'm going to say that slightly hits purple's space, so that will be -1 to the attack. Which is amazing, because that went from a devastating attack that he could not dodge because he already used his dodge ability. Well, I guess he could dodge with stamina, but to a miss. So thank God for line of sight. And then orange would try to get next to Rook, but there's no way for him to without jumping over the pit. And it's important to note that the special rules of this scenario, because enemies usually can jump over pits and potentially fall in and die, but the special rules for this scenario say that there is no jumping in this one, so they can't even try it. Next up is Remy. She untaps her hand axe and her dodge bonus and her move diagonally without doing break attacks. And she can also spend 2 stamina to fly her 6 movement, which means she can go past enemies, not worry about break attacks, go past pits. That might be something I'll consider in a second. Let's see. But she's getting 3 stamina. That gives her 5 up to her max. She should be able to do a lot of stuff this turn. So priority is killing purple so that we can get a clear space for Zeke to run through on his activation and attack. I'll note, by the way, there is a flanking rule. So let's say that she flew to be right here, directly opposite one of her allies. She would get +1 to her hit and +3 automatic damage if she did hit. I'm not sure. That might be worth doing. And let's see, if she flew over here, she could still use her free diagonal movement to go over here and maybe do some more attacks. Although she's only got 5 stamina, so if she flies, that leaves her with only 3. And then if she attacks, that leaves her with only 1. So she can't do 2 attacks unless she attacks this guy just where she is and then moves over there. So let's try that. She's going to just do an attack for 2 stamina right from where she is on purple, leaving her with 3 stamina left. We've got her same hand axe and medium shield, so she's going to roll 2 white dice. She could exhaust the shield to empower the attack. And let's see, these guys have already gone. She doesn't really need defense, so let's go ahead and do that. So she's going to empower, but don't forget that does add in the skull potential of canceling the entire attack. But 2 white, every pair of shields is +2, every star is +1. And well, that's interesting. She did not miss with this, but it also didn't help her at all. So let's see, this is just 5 and 6 is 11, so that beats their defense by 3. Plus a pair of shields is 2 more, so that's 5 damage. She doesn't have quite enough to actually defeat the guy. He's going to be left with 1 life. Now, she could use up 2 more stamina and be done, but that seems like a waste. So instead, she's going to use one of her throwing knives. This is a free action. You just discard it on your turn, and you get to do a purple dive automatic damage. That rolls from 1 to 7. So a purple die of automatic damage on somebody within range 4. So she's going to go ahead and use it. And of course, it doesn't really matter. The guy's only got 1 life left anyway, but hey, there we go. 5 damage. Purple is defeated. Okay, now I'm going to use her Like the Shadows ability to move diagonally up to 2 spaces at no cost. Get her right next to orange. And she'll spend 2 of her remaining 3 stamina to attack again. She could spend her last stamina to empower again, but it didn't help me out too much that time, so we'll just try this. Alright, so we beat his defense by 2, plus 2 more from shield, so that's 4 damage. He's got 2 life left. I could throw her last throwing knife, but we've still got Zeke and Nightingale to go, so I gotta hope that at least one of them is going to defeat these guys. And in a sort of Gloomhaven-ish touch, I can keep track of the damage on, that was orange actually. So he's got 4 out of his 6. Note that unlike Gloomhaven, this is color-coded instead of just numbers, so a lot easier to find on the board. Okay, Zeke is next. He's going up to 5 stamina as well. Don't forget he's got 7 movement. And, oh man, I totally forgot this last turn. I know he was more mobile. I can exhaust his short swords to give him 1 diagonal space of movement, so he actually would have been right up in the fray pretty quickly last turn. He's also got a free attack from Blade Works once per turn, and he can do a chain of command attack for 2 stamina that might throw somebody up to 2 spaces, and that could get them into the dangerous terrain and just kill them outright. So he'll spend 1 of his 5 stamina, move 7 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now note if he moved 1 more to be next to both of them, red would get a free attack against him. So he's going to stop right there and use up 2 of his movement for nothing. Okay, now he's going to use Blade Works, exhausted. He gets a free attack, so he still has 4 stamina this turn. His short swords, as I noticed, can be exhausted to let him move diagonally, but they can also be exhausted to reroll 1 combat die, and they are white if I'm using a light weapon in the other hand, and they're both light, so I'm getting a 2 white. And same as the hand axes, I get 2 damage for each 2 shields, or 1 for each star. Oh, lovely attack. Okay, so that's 6. So that's 11 is 3 more than their defense. And then plus 2, so that'd be 5. So that means the red guy is not quite defeated. He's got 1 life left, and orange has 2 life left. Now, I could use one of my short swords to re-roll this, and a 6 or 7 would defeat them, but that seems like a pretty low probability play there. I will, however, attack again, this time actually spending 2 stamina, so Zeke's got 2 stamina left. And anything will kill him, and that's enough. So he's definitely dead. There goes red, so only orange is left. Now Zeke could use his chains of command to attack that guy and throw him into the dangerous terrain, but I think he's just going to use one of his short swords to move diagonally, and he'll stop there because another diagonal move would let him get attacked. But note that he now has line of sight to the blue totem, so let's look in the book and see what it says. Now, in a cool touch, similar to what Nemesis did with the infection cards, the encounter text is hidden behind red text, so blue totem. The cavern continues, and you can see more dangerous pits blocking the path to the cave sickle hive. You also notice a pile of bleached bones, picked clean by what you can only assume were voracious cave sickles. Something in the bone pile is shimmering in the dim light of the cave. Perhaps it's worth checking out, despite the grisly circumstances. Place tiles and tokens according to Diagram 27. Now, this diagram book is a cool touch that I really like. It almost emulates what you get in like Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition or Descent or Imperial Assault using the app, in that it organically adds stuff without you knowing about it ahead of time. So in this case, I'm adding tile 9. There's going to be a green totem down here, blue loot, and the red exit, which might lead right to the nest I need to destroy. Just to show you our map with the additions, so the blue totem is gone. We won't see the green totem until we kind of come around the corner here, and the exit is over a pit, so that's exciting. Now Zeke has 2 stamina left, could use a sword to move diagonally, though he'd take an attack, but he's going to stop there and let Nightingale get a little bit of the action, because she hasn't gotten to attack anybody yet. Okay, so Nightingale unexhausts her banished knowledge, and because she hasted herself, she's going to get 4 stamina instead of 3 this turn. And she's going to immediately use 1 of it and exhaust banished knowledge. It costs 1 less when it's on an ally. That's going to add a haste token to Rook, because he doesn't have as many cool abilities to kind of move around and do special things. So she'll move up with one of her 3 remaining stamina. 3, 4, 5, 6. And that gets her just, well, yeah, actually, never mind. I am going to have -1 to my attack from Remy being in my way a little bit.
but she will use her last 2 stamina to attack with her crossbow, which is unfortunate because her quick blow ability would have let her attack again for only 1 stamina. Okay, her crossbow is, it's a purple die, which is not as good as a white die. I did not realize. But it does have the +1 for each shield, so a little bit more flexible with its bonuses. And passive, I can flip an unflipped arrow that you control to unexhaust this card, and I can exhaust it to get 3 armor piercing. That'd be great if these guys had armor, but they don't, so not too important for me right now. I will show you her 3 arrows, though, so these are barbed arrows, and basically each arrow gives you 2 uses. The first time you flip it, the second time it goes away completely. But before rolling an attack, I can flip it in this case, and I get +2 physical damage if it gets through the armor and actually hits their defense. But since this guy only has 2 life left, if I hit, he's probably dead, so let's just hope. Oh, so that is exactly equal to his defense, which means it does still count as a hit, except I don't get any bonus damage, I just have to use my icons. And she just has 1 measly little shield, so that's just 1 damage getting through. And sadly, he has 2 life left, so that was like the worst possible result besides actually missing. So I'm just going to stop there, and Orange will still be alive for 1 more turn.
So Rook's going first again. He's going to get his magic armor ability back. He's going to get both belts and his cuirass back. And he's going to drink 2 juice boxes, because they'll each heal him 3, and that'll bring him back to only 2 damage, which makes him feel a lot happier. And because he's hasted, he's going to be up to 5 stamina instead of 4, and able to hopefully do a lot this turn. And actually, maybe not so much, because Orange is standing in his way, and he can't walk by without getting hit. So he's going to spend 1 stamina to move right next to Orange, and then 2 more to attack, leaving him with 2. His War Axe gives him 2 white dice, and he pretty much just needs to hit to defeat this guy. Yep, and he does. That's 7 plus 2 is 9. Easily defeats him since he only had 1 life left. Since that was the last cave sickle from that group, he's going to get another card. He's getting all the loot himself. 6 to add to his 5. He's got 11 now. And you know what? The more I think about it, the more I think I am going to remove these guys and kind of redo their initiative if they pop up again, because they do have rules in the spawning for like kind of setting initiative for new enemies, and I think it makes more sense for me to not know exactly when they're going to attack. Now, Rook has 2 more stamina and would love to move and explore what this red thing is, but remember you can only move once per turn, so he's going to choose not to. He will magic armor another one of his friends, though, which will be Zeke, the only frontline fighter without a barrier. Remy's not hasted yet, so she's only going to gain 3 stamina, bringing her to 4. And he's right getting into a bit of a tough decision. So she can definitely move and go 1, 2, 3, 4... And this is hindering terrain, which can both make range attacks more tough. It's -1 to the attack. And additionally, they cost 2 movement. Now, quick note on just a weird design choice. Every dungeon crawler I've ever played, and pretty much every game with movement I've ever played, says that it costs the extra movement to move in. This game, the rules as written say that it costs extra movement to move out of the space. I'm not doing that, so sorry. I guess this playthrough is kind of not following the rules as written, but I've never played a game that did movement like that. It's always the movement cost to get in. So that'll cost her 6 to get there. She can't see red yet, but I'm not sure if she should go. I mean, I guess she'll still have enough to maybe do an attack, but what worries me is that, these guys are far back and Rook's already gone, but... The other thing is, if you ever don't have an enemy do any kind of AI move and nobody spawns, you get one of these urgency tokens, and if you get a 4th one, you lose the scenario automatically. Now, I'm not worried about that, but at the same time, I want to keep this kind of thing rolling. So, let's see. She can spend another stamina to move 2 more, which I guess would get her here, or I guess there, and then she could see red. And then she still has her free 2 move diagonally, so, yeah, let's go ahead and spend another stamina and see what red's got to hide. That'll leave her with 3 stamina overall. Behind the rocks, you find another pair of cave sickles. Spawn 2 cave sickles adjacent to this red totem. Behind you, 2 more of them crawl up from the depths. Spawn 2 cave sickles on tile UM1 according to diagram 29. To the south, you see yet another pair of cave sickles. Luckily, a large gap separates them from you. Spawn 2 cave sickles adjacent to the red exit. A lot of new guys popping up in case you thought getting to that exit was going to be a cakewalk. So 2 of them are going to be right there, right next to Nightingale, my weakest person. So here they go. We'll go and do purple and red, because I'm not quite sure how you divide up the numbers, but hey, we'll just roll with it. Then we'll put orange and blue next to the red one, and they would want to be close to get their attack, but that'll also help me out, so we'll just kind of call it a wash there. And our last two friends will be next to the red exit. Hopefully they won't be doing much of anything for a while, because again, the scenario won't even allow them to go over the pit. You know, I'm reversing myself again, because rereading the spawn rules, it specifically says if their card is not already on the track, then you roll to see where it goes on the track. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, red, purple, orange are still there, which I guess means they don't get to go this turn, because we're already past them. And 4, 5, 6 are going to go in just a bit after Zeke and Nightingale. So Romy's going to use 2 of her remaining 3 stamina to attack the guy next to her. She has 2 white dice with her axe and shield, and she's going to exhaust the shield to get an empowered black die. So that is barely enough to hit, but plus 2 damage from the shield. So that's just 2 damage getting through, plus a whopping nothing. That empowered die is not helping much. This is in a way the worst result, because I can't even exhaust my axe to get a free retry at the attack, since I did technically hit, unfortunately. Now I could throw a throwing knife to try to do the last 4 damage, but since Orange already got past this turn, I think I'm going to just hope that maybe Rook can smash him next turn before he attacks her. Okay, so going over to Zeke, he's going to get his sword back, he's going to get his free attack back, and I think, well, let's see, first he does get 3 stamina, so he's at 5. I think he's going to use both swords to move diagonally. You'll see why when we go to the board. So that's going to get him right in the action, helping out Remy, and he should be able to hopefully finish off Orange. He's going to use Blade Works for a free attack, so he actually hasn't spent any stamina yet, even though he's moved and he's attacking. Ooh, nice one. So that's 11, so that's 3 damage, and then the 2 shields will give him 2 more. That's 5. That does cover Orange's 4 remaining life. Now, you would think he would have to spend 1 stamina to move next to Blue, but don't forget he's got Chain of Command that lets him do a Reach 2 attack, and if he hits, he can actually move the guy 2 spaces. Sadly, there's no pits or damaging terrain to do that with, but I'll still take the attack without moving. So that uses up 2 of Zeke's stamina, leaving him with 3, and he's going to get to do another attack. Here's hoping for another good one. Oh, not bad. Alright, so that is 3 damage plus 2 from the shields. That's 5, so he's got 1 life left. And here, I'll finally get to show you how, spells and abilities work. So this says follow-up, move the target up to 2 spaces, but that's only if I rolled a star, and I didn't. So, never mind. No follow-up there. But just notice if I did, then he would have had to defend against it with his conviction dice, which for these guys is 2 purples. And he would have had to beat or equal my Force X plus difference hit. So I beat him by 3, that's the difference hit. And X is 6 plus the level of my Horus Martial ability, which is 1. So he would have had to basically roll a 10 or higher on 2 purple dice to not be affected by that. And that's how all the kind of saving throws of a sort work in this game. But enough about that, we're going to Chain of Command again, since it doesn't actually exhaust, and see if we can get the last point of damage we need to finish this guy off. Ha, and we can. So that is 10, so that's 2 damage plus 2 more from the 2 shields. He is defeated. So looking pretty good with our new friends. We've defeated both of these guys. They aren't going to get in the fight yet, so we just have to worry about purple and red, both of who already went, well, didn't go, but got skipped over, so that might help us out. Okay, coming to our friend Nightingale the Archer with the bomb. She's going to get her 4 stamina from being hasted. And she's going to spend 2 of it to try to crossbow the guy. And let's see how she does. Oh my gosh! Well, I'm pretty sure he's dead. Yeah, so that's 14, which would kill him anyway, and then all the bonuses in the world. So, bye-bye. That was a great roll. It's basically the same as a natural 12 on usual D6s. And that actually allows her to use her Quick Blow ability during the follow-up step of your attack, other than your attack made with Quick Blow, so you can't keep doing this. Make another attack for only 1 stamina, and you can choose a new target. So she will indeed spend 1 stamina, and she'll try to shoot red this time. So that is 12, which is already 4 damage, and she gets +1 for each star and shield. So gosh, amazing rolling. She just wiped that guy out. And sadly, that was the last cave sickle left from 1 to 3. Well, sadly for them. So she's going to get a loot card, 6 money for Nightingale. With her last stamina, she would love to haste either of these guys. Well, I guess Zeke is the one who doesn't have it yet. Oh no, neither of them do. But sadly, she can't do it through blocking terrain. So even though they are within the 4 range, she can't make that happen. So she'll spend her last stamina to move closer. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll say she can't go in there, although by the rules she would be able to. It would just cost her 2 to get out next turn. Now our pink and green friends down here would try to move to attack somebody within 4, but even from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, they can't reach anybody, and I don't think they'd have line of sight anyway. So they get skipped. Now I'll note that if nobody had spawned this turn, that would again get me one of those urgency tokens, making me closer to losing automatically because nobody activated this turn of the enemies. But on turns where people spawn, you don't have that, so they don't penalize you for being awesome and defeating all the enemies really quickly. Alright, we're close to that red exit. Let's see if we can get there. Rook already had 2 stamina. He's getting haste, which would give him 4 more, but unfortunately only has room for 3, so he's got 5. He's going to start moving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's already using up 2 stamina. And let's go 2 more and at least see what's going on with green. 9, 10 to see the green totem. So that was 4 extra movements. So that'll use up 3 stamina, leaving him with 2. Okay, and our friendly green totem says, you hear water splashing up ahead as the cave winds around a dark corner. Place tiles and tokens according to diagram 28. Now look at this. We get another tile with 3 totems and an objective. And I don't even know what that is. You have to go over there and interact with it to find out. So look at all the stuff to be found, including an alternate exit. And we don't always know which exit is the correct one, so we might just have to kind of hope. Now I'll say I played this scenario before, and last time I went over there and I died, and I'd kind of like to get to the exit and show you the second encounter in this scenario. So we're just going to leave that alone, I think, mostly, and let bygones be bygones. Now Rook does have 2 stamina left, but not much of anywhere to go, so he's going to stop right there for now. Now, Remy, on the other hand, is a magical flying girl, so I think she's going to go make a little trouble. She gains 3 stamina added on to what she already had. She unfortunately is not hasted, so she'll have 4 for this turn. But first she's going to use her Like the Shadows ability to move 2 diagonally for free. And then I think she's just going to fly over. And apparently the second you go on the exit, you end the scenario. So, I mean, yeah, if she flies over by herself, both those guys will attack her. But I do want to get the loot. I'm trying to decide if I just go straight there or not. Well, between her attacking and Nightingale shooting some arrows, hopefully we can defeat them. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nah, you know what? Let's just go straight to the exit. I've got enough loot, and I'm trying to show you the gameplay and not every little detail and spoil everything about the scenario for you, so you'll have to wonder what that loot would have been. So she'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is using 2 stamina to fly, so she doesn't take break attacks, doesn't have to worry about the pit, doesn't have to worry about moving through enemies, can basically ignore all of that fun stuff. Okay, and if we look at win conditions for the scenario, it says an adventurer finds and ends their turn on the red exit, which we did. We get to shop and train using page 4, and we continue to Too Many Sickles, page 14, where we'll try to actually bomb them. Now, all page 4 is for the shopping, is just a reminder that we can buy mundane items. Now, in terms of XP and training, each character gets 1 XP for the treasures they had. Rook had 2, and he only spent 6 of his starting 7 XP at the beginning of the scenario, so he actually does have enough to buy a new ability. Nobody else does. Nightingale only has 1, and all abilities are at least 3 experience minimum. Now, the abilities you cannot buy are a Martial or Sanctus ability, because for each one you have of a type, the next one costs 1 more. So it would be 4 to buy either another blue or another sort of beige-ish, Sanctish one. So I think I'm going to get another Like the Shadows, because that ability was amazing. Get a 2 diagonal movement. That'll get Rook into the fight a lot faster, and I'm going to enjoy that. We also got 17 gold total, and I had a bit left over that I hadn't spent last time, so I am going to rectify my mistake of not getting Nightingale some armor, and buy her a +1 armor, cancel some damage, Curus, just like Rook has. So that should help her in case she does get attacked while she's holding that bug bomb to survive the entire scenario. So that is the first encounter in the first dungeon crawl of Middara. Let me know what you thought, and we'll do the second encounter fairly soon here. And like I said, down the line, I'll also show you the adventure mode and eventually get a full review once I've played the game a bunch. Good gaming, everyone, and I'll see you at the next stop.